Okay, Mike Masato, CEO of Staff Driven Dental and the Dental Road Warrior, returning for episode 114 in this series. So I've been talking a lot about good management practices over the years. Maybe we should start a whole separate series about bad management practices and just kind of highlight those in reverse. Because one of my favorite aspects of bad management, unfortunately, that I see too much of, and that my coaches see too much of on-site every day in practices, is the famous micromanaging. And I'm going to talk about micromanaging today as a topic that we want to eliminate from your practice, doctors listening to this. Because if you want to you really truly want to relieve stress and aggravation and incompetence and all the other things that go around with bad management, stop micromanaging in your practice. The only time we should ever use the word micromanager in your practice would be as you have a very, very tiny, small little person at the front desk who's superiorly trained in dental management and making you a fortune, if that such a thing exists. Otherwise, we should never be micromanaging. And micromanaging is a symptom of basically bad management, or the fact that we do not have proper training and systems and personnel in our practice. So we feel the urge that we need to be involved in everything, on top of everyone all the time. Now, if I asked a rhetorical question, which you cannot answer to a video as you're watching it, do you enjoy doing this? I don't think anybody really would say that's the case, because what are you doing? You're spending all this money on personnel for various positions, and still you're doing the work. You have to bypass these people to jump into the front desk, for example, and be on top of them. And I've seen it so bad where I've seen samples when literally doctors have grabbed the phone out of the hands of people that they have hired to be speaking on the phone to patients about various things. Look, if you feel that they're that inadequate to be able to answer the phone, why would we hire them in the first place? That should be dental front desk 101, to be able to speak on the phone and handle an incoming call effectively, right? And the way you get your team to be good at this, so you don't have to micromanage, really is to put in training. And this is the thing that doctors are still reluctant in these times to invest in, to put the money into your people. Right? Because the other alternative is, you feel you have to do everything all the time, and you're not good at it. And that's just the fact of the matter is, many of you do hygiene all the time, and have a schedule full of hygiene, and you do it because you can. But are you best at that? Do you like doing that? Is that the most enjoyable aspect of what you do? No, of course not. Right? There's many things you can do, but how effectively are you doing that? How productive is that being? How efficient is that? How much is it ending in increasing our bottom line when you're doing everything all the time for everybody? And it's also very invalidating people. When you like to bypass people that are at these positions in your practice, like, here's your job, go do it, and then you just step in and start doing that. How do you think that makes them feel? Can you imagine, and this is an example I give all the time, if your assistant who's with you and you're in the middle of a procedure, a crown prep, and all of a sudden the assistant steps in, grabs the handpiece from you, or other instrument, or whatever you're doing at the time, and starts doing it for you, and says, Doc, let me take care of that for you, because you know what, I have a better way of doing that. I'll show you how it's done. How would the patient react? How would you react if that's what happened, if an assistant did that? Of course you would never have to happen. But that's the same thing you are doing when you are jumping in to all these other positions to do all this work, right? And it costs you a lot of time and a lot of money doing this whole thing. And I mentioned that, and sooner or later it's going to cost you those people, because people don't like to feel invalidated and less of a person because you felt you're better than them, or someone else should be doing the work for them, or whatever, because they're like, well, why am I even here? And then they get defeated and beaten and never get better. How do people ever get better if they don't? Well, I'm worried about them making a mistake. Well, you know what? Guess what? People make mistakes every day. They have to learn from them. But if you want them to make less mistakes, hire the people. Just don't throw them on the job, right? Hire the people, apprentice them, and train them, and then they get good, and then they can be on their own. And then you got to worry about it. But that doesn't mean occasionally there won't be a mistake made. That's why you have checks and balances in place on everything in your practice. But again, there's a chance that someone's going to make a mistake. And every great team member or staff member out there listening to this video knows how it was at one time or another for you in practice. You weren't as good as you are now years later. And guess what, Doc? Same thing with you. When you were in clinic doing clinic dentistry, how good was your dentistry back then? Wasn't very good, was it? It took years to get better and better and develop your art and craft until you got mastered it, right? So when it's still a learning experience. Well, the same thing goes with a front desk person or an assistant or a hygienist in some capacity, and every other position you have in the practice. These people there that you hire want to do the job for you. They really do. If as long as you don't hire the wrong person, which is hiring is another subject, and because a lot of times we get into micromanaging because we don't hire the right person, and then we can't get rid of them, and then we're doing the job for them. But that's a separate point of things. But you bring these people in, you invest in these people to get good, because this is how you spend. This is where all your money's going. It's a large investment, personnel every month. It's one of the largest expenses you have in the practice. Is it a cost or is it an investment? Are we getting return on investment from our team? Right? And you will never get positive return on investment if your approach to team is I have to micromanage them all the time. Right? First of all, getting a good manager, start there. Having a good office manager, and I don't mean just someone who has the title. I mean someone who's truly there to quarterback the show, run the show, so you can just be doing what you do best, which is dentistry. Because when you're doing something else besides dentistry, it's never a good thing, right? So if you have a good manager in there who's truly trained to make things happen, she can make sure that all the other people are doing what they're supposed to do as well too. Because she should know, what to look for, have an eye out for them, keep an eye on things, making sure things are running right, intervening as need be. But those are the quarterbacks that run the plays, so we win the game every single day. But if you have to jump out from your position to do this all day long, you're never going to be effective. Right? So micromanaging is really a symptom, all right, of doubt and uncertainty when it comes to your practice. And we have many doubts of uncertainty because this is not what we went to school for. We did not go to school for management. We did not go to school to run a business, to understand personnel and what makes personnel tick, and hiring these people, hiring good people and getting them in place, how to bring them up to speed. This was something that we've kind of learned through the School of Hard Knocks over the years, right? So nothing wrong with getting someone in to help you, like myself, like my team, to help you learn the ropes of how this is supposed to work. It's okay to admit, I'm great at certain things. I'm one of the best, prosthodontists out there. And I Prost is a perfect example. People, the upper echelon doctors of dentistry, do artwork with what they do. And I got prosthodontists came to me, hey Mike, you know what? I can admit I'm great at certain things, but I'm not great at this. That's okay to admit that. That's a breakthrough. If you can just say to yourself, you know what? I'm not a great manager. I am not a great executive. I am not someone who's great at training other people. Great. That's fine. Now that you recognize this, do something about it. But allowing, I have people sit at positions. I've seen family members of the front desk filling in. I've seen everything in my time. Every crazy attempted solution of management other than the right solution, which is you have the right people in the right places, doing the right things, trained to the hilt to get the job done for you so you attain your goals in practice, and you work in an environment that is not stressful, right? And not like what's going on in the back of my head all the time, what's going on out there, being in mystery of not knowing what's going on. That there's good communication happening from these people. You're aware of what's happening. There's checks and balances in. Everything's run by systems and policies. When you've gotten to that point in your practice, you've arrived. Life is great, and you don't need all the micromanage, and you get that out of your vocabulary. And that doesn't mean I got to cross train them all. Look, cross training is one thing. I want to say one little sidebar on cross training. Cross training does not mean everybody doing everybody's job all the time, at all times. There's a time for a cross-trained person to step in an emergency if someone's not in or not there. But the idea is not all hands on deck all day long doing everybody else's job. That's chaos. Right? That's not organizational sanity at that stage when you're doing it that way. Right? Just a little sidebar on cross-training. All right. So going again to wrap up on micromanaging. Not the best thing to do. Thing that should be avoided. Get it out of your vocabulary. Get people like us in there to show you how it's done, so you can have a turnkey operation, and life will be good. I hope you're enjoying watching these videos. If you're enjoying them, please share them with others that can use the help. We'd love to hear your feedback. If you have anything you want to say, share about the videos, topics you want me to talk about. But I'll be back shortly with another episode.